start us off, could you tell us your name and a little bit about your musical background?
Sure. So my name is Benjamin May, and I come from a very large musical family. I'm the youngest of 7 children. My mother was a concert cellist and pianist, and my father was a music theory professor for 50 years, composer. He played all the instruments. And also, most of my brothers and sisters played instruments. So ever since I was born, all I've known in my core family environment was people playing instruments. At the age of around 13 or 14, I started learning how to play the upright bass. I had previously learned violin, piano, and cello, but it's when I started learning the bass is when things started to really take off. Within 6 months, I was playing in a local semi-professional orchestra, and after that, within a few years, I started even playing some jazz and some things like that. I moved away to California, where I lived there for 35 years, and in that capacity, I worked as a full-time studio musician. I also played jazz, and I played principal bass in several different orchestras. So I had a pretty active career in California. And then in 2023, I moved to Pittsburgh. And one of the first things I did was I joined the Pittsburgh Philharmonic, and they offered me the principal position after my audition. And I've held that position ever since. That was in January of 2024, by the way, when I auditioned. And I've enjoyed it very, very much. I love playing in the orchestra. And I've also continued to work around town performing jazz on bass and on piano, I might add, in addition to building my own teaching studio in my home.
How did you first come to your instrument? What drew you to the bass?
So for me, the moment was in 7th grade when I was playing cello in the orchestra at school, and I was a very disaffected cellist. I didn't really like being there, and I was actually thinking of quitting, but we had mandatory lessons with the teacher. Her name was Alta Wella. Anyway, I went in for my weekly lesson, and like I say, I was thinking of quitting because I was really not enjoying it. And in the office where I was having my lesson, they stored the basses. And if you come from violin and then cello, going from that to seeing a bass is rather dramatic because they're quite large. And I just offhandedly asked, how do those things work? So she took one off the rack and she showed me a couple things, and I was immediately fascinated. And before you knew it, I was staying after school, trying to get in some practice on the bass. And by the end of the year, I had decided I wanted to play bass in the orchestra.
Was there a particular moment or person that really solidified your path as a musician?
That's a hard question, but I would have to say when I was 14 and started studying privately for the first time with a teacher outside my family. And my teacher, David Miller, he really gave me my strong foundation, and he actually was instrumental in getting me into the symphony orchestra and giving me professional high-level experiences. And I think from that very strong foundation, I was able to build a future.
What eventually brought you to the Pittsburgh Philharmonic?
Well, when I moved to Pittsburgh in May of 2023, one of the things I did was I looked up community orchestras, and I found the Pittsburgh Philharmonic, which was conveniently located right here in the North Hills where I settled. And I saw that they were taking open auditions in January of 2024. So I went ahead and put my name on the list, and I showed up, and the rest is history.
Do you remember your first rehearsal or concert with the orchestra?
As I recall, my first concert was the springtime concert. and we did a performance of Lily Boulanger's last piece she ever wrote, and it was enchanting. I'd never heard it before, and I loved it. One of the things I loved about it was that in rehearsal you get to basically forensically get to know the piece from many different levels and layers, and it becomes intimate and a part of you after a while, and I really liked that about that particular piece.
How would you describe the experience of playing with this orchestra?
Well, I really get the sense of it being a true community orchestra because it's made up of a mixture of young people, students, professionals, and retired educators, and all of us come together with one common purpose, and that's to make great music and reach out to the community.
What keeps you coming back season after season?
I'd have to say it's definitely the people and the community spirit, and also the chance to learn some great symphonic repertoire that I may not be familiar with under the guidance and leadership of a very experienced conductor.
As a bass player, what do you feel is your role within the orchestra sound?
Well, I would have to say my role is twofold. One is, as a member of the bass section, our job as a section is to lay down the rhythmic and harmonic foundation for the orchestra. To put it another way, if we play our notes perfectly in tune at the right spot, then everyone else can play their notes on top of us and it'll resonate and sound really, really good. But if we're out of tune, it doesn't matter how well in tune they are, it's not going to quite shimmer and shine the way the overtones are supposed to. And my role also as principal bass is to make sure that our section is unified and that we're all following the conductor at the same time, and that if there's any questions about bowings or fingerings or articulation, that we all are on the same page.
What do you listen for when you're playing in an ensemble like this?
I would have to say the most important thing for me is how well we are blending with the other sections, and also I want to make sure that the basses at no time cover up who's got the melody.
Where would you like to see the Pittsburgh Philharmonic go in the future?
I would like to see us continue to grow, and I would also like to see us reach more and more people in the community. In addition to that, I want to keep on exploring challenging repertoire, but things that are accessible for the general public.
Outside of orchestra, what kinds of music do you enjoy listening to?
Well, I would have to say that I have fairly diverse tastes. I am a professional jazz musician, so I do spend a fair amount of time listening to jazz. But I also enjoy some pop music to a degree, and also even other forms like minimalism and alternative classical music.
And finally, what does music mean to you at this point in your life?
For me, at this point in my life, music is an art form, and for me personally, art is the search for things that are beautiful. There are certainly things in nature that are beautiful, but music stands out as a very unique human experience. It's one of the things that separates us from the wild animals. It's something that soothes the beast in us. It reminds us of a higher purpose. And I'll just leave you with a quote. Music speaks what cannot be expressed, soothes the mind and gives it rest, heals the heart, makes it whole, flows from heaven to the soul. So I'm here with my friend Michael Gudbaur.
Hey, Ben.
So why don't we begin by telling our listeners how you got started playing the bass?
Well, like so many other bass players, I was asked to fill a bass-shaped hole in the orchestra when I was taking a music theory class actually in high school when the orchestra director approached me and asked if I might be interested in playing bass in the orchestra. They had their contest was coming up and they needed a bass they were lacking any bass at all in the orchestra. So I agreed to do that and found that I took to it pretty fast. I loved the instrument immediately and found myself in the practice room every lunch hour, and it's just been great since then.
So I know we have a few things in common other than playing the bass. One of them is that we are both born in Wisconsin. I was born in Eau Claire, and if I recall, you said you were born in Racine. I left when I was about 6 months old. I think you left much later. And tell me about your trip to North Carolina.
We moved to North Carolina in 2015, 2016, right around there. And stayed there until the fall of 2023. We moved back up to Pittsburgh. Both our daughters went to school here. They're both Duquesne graduates and decided they loved the area and settled in. So we thought, well, why don't we go up there and join them?
I understand one of your daughters is a very fine violinist.
Yes, my daughter Sarah. She plays in many of the orchestras around the area, and
I would love to hear her play sometime in person.
Oh, so, well, we have a recital coming up. I'll make sure you're invited.
Does she play with the Westmoreland Symphony?
She does, yeah. You probably heard her play it, yeah.
I went to their concert a few weeks ago, and I noticed a Gudbaur in the violin section. I don't suppose there's that many Gudbaurs in the Pittsburgh area.
Yep, that was her. She was playing assistant principal, I think, that night.
So let's talk about your move to Pittsburgh. I myself moved out here in May of 23 from Los Angeles, and I believe you arrived not that long afterwards.
Right, about in October of the same year.
And already you're making an impact on the scene. You're doing jazz gigs and orchestra stuff and all kinds of things. And so you've done really, in a short amount of time, you've done amazingly well.
It's such a fertile scene here. So many great opportunities to play and great musicians, and I think a really good vibe from the musicians as well. It's a very welcoming atmosphere.
So my next question that I always ask people is, how did you come to the Philharmonic? But I already know the answer to that because I became principal bass in 2024 when I first auditioned, and we had some casualties pretty soon thereafter. One of our bass players he works in a shop. He actually makes bows and instruments and things. And he was working in the shop, and he slipped with his X-Acto knife and actually severed several tendons in his hand, right in the palm of his hand, which is really bad if you're trying to play the bass. So tendon repair takes a long time. So he may be out for a while. And then the other gentleman who was a long-term member, has health problems that he's dealing with, and he has to kind of take it easy. So that kind of just left me, and I think Bob, if he's available, will show up. But he's a busy guy. So we had a real need for good bass players, and I thought of you right away. I thought, well, if Michael has any background in orchestra at all, he's a perfect fit, and you do. You said you played in community orchestras in North Carolina, and did you also play in Wisconsin too?
Yeah, in fact, I played with, I think, just before we left, I was playing with 4 different community orchestras. Racine, Kenosha, Waukesha, and there was a community orchestra in Milwaukee as well.
That's incredible. So you're a perfect fit for the Pittsburgh Philharmonic.
Yeah, and it couldn't come at a better time because I was looking for an opportunity to play classical music and orchestral music, something I really love to do.
So how do you like the Philharmonic? How do you like playing in the orchestra?
Oh, I love it. I mean, like I said, it's playing in an orchestra is just one of those things it's hard to describe. It's a very powerful experience when you're sitting in a bunch of group of 60 other musicians all kind of focused on the same thing at once. You kind of get this kind of hive mind going. It's very, like I said, it's a very powerful experience.
Yeah, I agree. I think also from the vantage point of the bass, we have a big responsibility because there's so few of us. There's really just a handful of bass players. At the rehearsal on Monday, there was only 3 of us. And we have to hold down the rhythmic and harmonic foundation of the entire orchestra. So it's a big job. That's why we need bass players that can play in tune and know how to get a good sound out of their instrument and know how to count. Those are all very important things. And you do a fine job. So we have a pretty new conductor, Jeff Clefstead. He's doing a fantastic job, I think. By all reports from people who've heard previous seasons and things, the orchestra's getting better and better. And he's very detail-oriented, which is something I like about him very much. And he's very knowledgeable. You can tell. He knows his stuff. He knows his material. He's not faking it. He's not just winging it. He's up there. He knows it intimately, and I really appreciate that. And it helps me learn the music a lot better when we're under the leadership of somebody who is so knowledgeable.
Right, and he's very passionate as well about this. You can tell.
So, I guess just to kind of wrap things up, unless you want to add anything, what kind of things do you think you see the orchestra going and doing, let's say, a year or 2 years from now? What kind of trajectory would you like to see us go in?
Well, I think when I joined last year, of course, we were auditioning different conductors, and you could see how the orchestra responded under different leadership, and that was very interesting to me. And it's very exciting to see how having one conductor this season is really focusing and bringing, kind of coalescing the orchestra, and it's really honing in on its own sound now, I think. And so I'm looking forward to kind of carrying that forward, and maybe other opportunities like chamber music, even maybe a pop series or something like that to really engage the community.
Those are all really great ideas, and we look forward to playing together again in the next concert. So we'll see you then. So, Bob, thank you for consenting to be interviewed for the podcast. I'm really excited about it. Could you tell me a little bit about your background as a bass player?
Sure. I actually started out on trombone and did not pick up bass until high school. I was an electric player, and I started college as a trombone major, but I was playing bass every night, so I decided to switch, and after a year of trombone, I actually took some IT and went off to a different college, but then I came back and I finished in a jazz performance major on an electric bass, but I was also playing upright at that time.
Sounds like a really busy experience there. That's great.
Yeah.
So, how did you find out about the Pittsburgh Philharmonic?
I'm not sure. Probably a friend of mine told me about it, because a lot of my friends teach at PICO.
I see. And how long have you been with the orchestra?
Probably 6 years.
So you've probably seen a lot of changes over the years.
Yeah.
Different conductors, different repertoire, and whatnot.
Right. We started with Daniel, and then we went through several conductors that we were considering for a new conductor.
And the bass section's also evolved as well.
Right. When I started, I was the bass section.
And then finally, what keeps you coming back to the orchestra?
I enjoy playing classical music. I haven't done it for most of my career, so maybe the last dozen years I've been playing classical, so trying to improve my skills, and there's good people and good skill level.
And the last question. Where do you see the orchestra going forward into the future? What are your hopes for the Philharmonic?
Well, it's improved a lot since I've been here, and we're doing more challenging repertoire, so I think it'll continue to grow.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sure.
So let's start with your name.
I'm Eric Brower.
All right, Eric. I know you're a newcomer to the orchestra, so welcome aboard.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about your background as a bass player.
Sure. I started playing in high school, and then on to college, and after that started taking it kind of seriously and auditioned for a master's program in bass. Decided not to enter a program. Decided to just stay in the Philly area and freelance and teach music lessons, and I did play most steadily with the Delaware County Symphony right outside of Philadelphia.
So how did you find out about the Pittsburgh Philharmonic?
I recently moved to Wexford and was looking to get back into playing because it had been a while since I picked up my bass, and one of the first search results was Pittsburgh Philharmonic. Saw that they practiced pretty much 8 minutes from my house, so I thought it was a no-brainer. I might as well audition and see if I like it. And so far, so good.
What a great opportunity!
Yeah, it's awesome.
So we talked a little about what you like about the orchestra.
Yeah.
Right. So what would you like to see in the orchestra, let's say, going forward in the future?
This is my first concert that we're in the middle of right now, and it's been great. Musicians are super talented. The maestro is fantastic. My only gripe right now is just this particular program for this concert is maybe a little bit outside my taste. I like more of the core, like romantic symphonies,
or traditional.
The traditional symphonies, which I know you play and looking forward to. But this has been a really this concert has been a great way to get back into the swing of things and learn to count again and learn to follow a conductor again. So I really have no complaints.
Fantastic. Well, I sure appreciate you taking the time to let me interview you, and best of luck going forward.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Join us for an unforgettable evening with the Pittsburgh Philharmonic. On Sunday, May 10th, the orchestra takes the stage at the Masonic Center, located at 3579 Masonic Way in Pittsburgh. The program will feature Ralph Vaughan Williams' Symphony No. 5, a deeply expressive and serene masterpiece of the 20th century repertoire. We'll also present the first movement of the Saint-Saëns Cello Concerto No. 1, performed by the winner of our Young Artist competition, showcasing the next generation of exceptional talent. And in celebration of new music, the concert will include the world premiere of The Village and the Hero's Last Stand, a powerful new work by the Young Composers competition winner, Jay Pizak. In addition to the concert, we're proud to continue our commitment to music education through our annual Student Side-by-Side program. Students entering grades 8 through 12 are invited to audition for the opportunity to rehearse and perform alongside members of the Pittsburgh Philharmonic. The audition will take place on May 16th, with applications due by May 10th. We hope you'll join us for this inspiring evening of music and community. Visit our website for tickets and more information.